Good morning, Eric, the turf teacher, and good morning, turf vet. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, sir. We read you Lima Charlie, as we said in the military, loud and clear. So good, man. I'm glad we got some good audio this morning. So you at the coast now, man? Are you on vacation or are you there working?
I'm actually working, but we mix in a little bit of fun and recreation for from time to time.
Well, good.
So yeah, was in Raleigh, born and raised in all my life, and ran a landscaping company there for 22 years.
Okay.
In 2016, we migrated to the coast. I fell and bumped my head, I guess, and decided to start over again. They say the landscape industry, once you're in, you can't get out.
We
It's kind
can't,
of like
can
the
we,
mafia.
man?
So, so here I am,
Uh,
and I am in Little River, South Carolina now,
okay.
working North Myrtle Beach, Little River, Calabash, Sunset Beach. So I am now a South Carolinian by about 6 miles.
Okay, well, good deal, man. We visit Sunset Beach every year, man. That is like our go-to. So we know the area, man. I love it down there.
Yes,
That,
pretty place, and of course, they all the challenges in the landscape and irrigation industry, that are in Charlotte or Winston-Salem or Raleigh, they're here too. So
well, good. Now, what
same
type?
story, different location.
Now, what type of? And the name of your company is Seagrass, right? Or Sea
It's
Green?
it's sea green grass, lawn care and irrigation, and that's kind of a play on being near the ocean, so it's spelled
Gotcha.
SEA.
Yep.
But yeah, so my focus down here is on lawn care, fertilization, weed control, insect applications, and then on the irrigation side, majority of it is maintenance and repair.
Okay. Okay.
Kind of shifted from, we're not running the install crews, we're not doing the new installs following the production builds, but there is a real need for service and repair. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of my niche of what I'm doing now.
Okay. Now, do you do much work on the island there at Sunset?
I do.
Okay.
So one of the things and one of the challenges being down here, I work on the islands, Sunset, Ocean Isle, and then into South Carolina, North Myrtle Beach. Um, and there are some subtle differences in the ways, the rules that apply to installing irrigation, rules regarding backflows are different between the two states. Obviously, in North Carolina, if you're doing an irrigation project over a certain dollar amount, you're supposed to be a licensed irrigation contractor.
Yeah.
That's different in South Carolina, and then in the municipalities, you know, there's different rules, and requirements. So
Yeah.
you kind of have to be up on all that. But yes, I crisscross the state line several times a day, but I enjoy it.
I bet so, man. I bet so. And so, like you said, you grew up in Raleigh.
Yes. So I grew up in Raleigh, and how I got involved in the green industry. I always mowed lawns, did everything, to hustle to make money. That's,
Yeah,
what kids did back in the day.
that's true.
Might
Yeah.
be different now, but we won't go into that. Um, but primarily my first landscaping job, I wanted a car. And so my
Yeah.
dad said, "We'll go get a job."
Yeah.
And so this was before I could drive. At age 14, I worked with a landscape install crew, and we were doing, new home installs. And at that time, that was before you saw a lot of irrigation, in the middle and median price range homes,
True.
and you didn't see sod. It was, let seed and straw, and you had the straw blower, and you're feeding bales in and getting covered in wheat straw all day. And so I did that through high school and college. I actually worked for an interior landscape company for a while. That was different. I would be in a warehouse in August decorating Christmas trees that we would then put out in November. And we did installs. Back in the day, you'd see a lot of plants in malls and atriums, or even restaurants. They had a lot of interior plants. And so I learned a little bit about that side of it. And then post college, I worked with landscape maintenance companies, and then
Yeah.
started my own. Um, in 1995.
Okay. Where'd you
So
go to college?
So I went to UNC Wilmington. I have
Okay.
a business degree,
Okay.
as
Cool.
I've said, at times you wouldn't know it. But,
That's
and my business partner at the time, he went to state. He was my high school friend, and he went to state. He was in the turf grass program.
okay.
Uh, the primary reason, and I am a Wolfpack fan, and that's challenging as well. But the primary reason I did not go to NC State was because my father was a professor at state.
Okay.
So, and when I was in high school, he taught student teachers. So there, as I'm walking around the halls in high school, there's my dad with all the student teachers, and all the family friends were professors. And I was like, this is not cool. I have to get out of here. I don't want to go to college at state where my dad knows what's going on.
True. True. I don't blame you there. So, our youngest is, second to youngest. She's at NC State, a freshman. So, not studying horticulture, but still in the School of Ag, just not going turf grass or horticulture. So,
Yeah. Well, that's all right. You never know, what process events will lead to where you ultimately end up.
yeah.
So, but that's my story, a brief story of me being in the industry. As I tell people, I've made a lot of mistakes and survived most of them.
Yeah. Well, it was a pleasure, meeting you through Carolina's Irrigation Association. I think the first time that I went to Waterpalooza, I think you were the president. It seems like,
Yeah, that probably would have been around, 2012, 2010, 12. I'd have to look, maybe a little bit later. I guess it was actually, I'm looking at the little plaque on the wall. It's 2017.
yeah, I remember it being pre-COVID, but
Yeah, it was pre-COVID.
yeah, yeah. But I got, y'all have the drawings there, and I won. You purchased the tickets and put it in there, and so I got there. My dad took a picture of me and you because you were handing me the Yeti 5-gallon bucket that had a Rainbird controller in it. So,
awesome!
Yeah,
awesome.
that was cool. But Eric, I do want to introduce you to my wife here, Jennifer. She is our partner in the radio station and the turf teacher program. As well, and then she kind of helps me a lot with the landscape business. I couldn't do it, but Jennifer, this is Eric, and Eric, forgive me if I'm saying it's Erich Kolb, right? Or am I saying it wrong?
It's Kolb, but
Kolb.
you're pretty close. So
Okay.
that's closer than most. I mean, yeah, and we ought to be able to at least remember each other's names.
First
Mine's
name.
spelled, yeah, her first name is, mine's spelled different. My parents decided to make it complicated. They added an H to the end. So,
Well, that's okay.
but very nice to meet you, Jennifer. Good to see you, and look forward to meeting you in person one day soon.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you too.
Yeah, so she'll be at Waterpalooza. We're both going, so
Awesome.
we just go down there, and it's hard. Even though I teach credits, man, it's hard to find my own personal credits that I need. So
I understand, yeah, because even if you teach classes, that doesn't necessarily qualify, and there's a lot of different qualifications, and I will say, now that I haven't fallen off the edge of the earth, but I'm close here, and so it's harder to find classes in person down here.
Gotcha.
So, I know you've seen me on your
Pod,
class
yeah,
roster several times, both for
Yeah.
landscape and irrigation classes. So I think it's good that with, the technology we have today, that people, can do the online classes such as you teach, but then also have the option and availability to go to some in-person things. Because I think both of them offer a different way of learning, and I think both of them have some advantages.
They do, and I love the face-to-face classes myself. Because you guys got a great lineup at Waterpalooza this year, so it's always good to hear. I can't remember his name. He's with Hunter Irrigation.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So, well, we can go right into it. So Waterpalooza is going to be on the 16th of October,
Yep.
which is a Thursday. We hold it at the McKimmon Center in Raleigh. which is a good central location.
It
And,
is.
plenty of parking. You don't have to drive downtown and pay to park and so forth. So it's a good venue. But Kevin Battistoni
Yep.
with Hunter
That's
Industries is on our list of instructors, and he's going to actually be involved in a couple classes. And for those that are on LinkedIn, social media and stuff, Kevin is really big in that, and you see a lot of his posts and on that. And I have had pleasure to take a class of his at the IA show.
okay.
And
Yeah.
he'll keep you awake. He's really animated, really good speaker. So we're lucky that he's going to be part of the lineup this year. So we have, yes, Kevin Battistoni with Hunter Industries is going to be there. Kirk Thompson
Yeah.
with Eartech. Kirk is very knowledgeable.
Oh, yeah.
He has every letter of the alphabet behind his name as far as irrigation. And but more importantly, he knows how to translate it to Joe average like me. So he's going to be teaching classes. We're also going to start the day with a panel discussion. And the panel discussion is going to be, it's called Source to Sprinkler.
Okay.
And we're going to be looking at kind of the overall picture of water, in the Carolinas, in North Carolina, from, reservoirs to, how the municipalities look at it, to, our part as far as irrigation and how that plays into it. So that'll be a panel discussion. They have that starting in the morning. So panel discussions are always good because they're a little bit more lively. We encourage, participation from the audience. So if, that'll be a good way to get started before your coffee kicks in.
Now, who is the award? Dr.
So Dr. Ronald Sneed.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yep. So part of the Waterpalooza day, we have a brief Carolinas Irrigation Association business meeting, and that the highlight of that business meeting is really to present the Ronald Sneed Award. And Dr. Sneed, he's retired at this point, but he was at NC State for years.
Yep.
And he, has forgotten more about water and irrigation than I'll ever know. Academic wise, he has, taught and instructed and helped people in the irrigation field, whether it's, what we do, maybe more residential turf and ag, all across the state, the nation, and in the world. So we're lucky to have him. He was also instrumental and kind of the, guided the ship, so to speak, years ago when our industry was faced with this issue of, we had a drought.
Yeah.
And they turned the spigot off, literally. So folks like you and me that were in the green industry, maybe we were a sod farm, maybe we were a nursery, we were a landscape contractor, we were an irrigation contractor, we couldn't water at all. Meanwhile, the Pepsi plant could keep bottling water and the car washes could keep washing cars, but as an industry, we were shut out.
Yeah.
And that's when, the licensing really evolved, because they basically said, we needed to figure out how to kind of guide and police ourselves. Otherwise, the alternative may be what we don't like, which would be, what we experienced. I think it was in 2009 and 2010 when we had that major drought. I know some folks may not have been in business then.
Yeah.
And we really haven't had a water crisis like that since then. So It's kind of real calm and easy, but I remember it well. And of course, this was really before social media, was as prevalent as it is today, but it was a big deal. I mean, you had a job, you were supposed to landscape a house so the homeowners could move in, and you wanted to get paid so you could make payroll and et cetera. And it all came to a screeching halt. If you drove across Falls Lake on I-85, it just looked like a creek.
Yeah.
It was bad. So but anyway, but Dr. Sneed, you know, really worked hard with that process when we were guiding through the licensing process, among other things that he's done. So each year at Waterpalooza, we try to recognize somebody in our industry, in the Carolinas who represents at least a fraction of what Dr. Sneed has done for the industry. And so that will be part of Waterpalooza this year is that award.
And hopefully Dr. Sneed will be there this year. I know he was year before. I didn't get to go last year because it was the same year of Expo. But
yeah, he is planning to be there this year.
Okay.
And that's always great. So we always invite him. And he's still there in class getting his CEUs too. So we're all in that boat.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, so Waterpalooza again, it's October 16th. If your listeners want to find out more information, if they've not received an email, of course, Carolinas Irrigation Association has a LinkedIn page and a Facebook page, but you can go to the website, Carolinas IRR.org, or just obviously type in Carolinas Irrigation Association, and you can download the registration form. You can register online, or if you prefer to do it snail mail, you can do it that way. But we'd love to see everybody out there. We have a good lineup. Again, we have the classes all day. We have a trade show. We'll have right now we have about 20 vendors that will be there. And of course, we provide some breakfast in the morning, provide lunch.
And always a good lunch, man.
Yeah, well, that's important,
Yeah. They go all out. So I remember some super good barbecue a few times and barbecue chicken. So really good food there at the Mechanic Center.
I mean, the thing has evolved. So I became involved with Carolinas Irrigation Association in the early 2000s. And, I was just a small business owner doing my own thing. And as you probably know, at times just being a business owner and being in your own bubble can be lonely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't know, and you think back, especially before all the social media and ways we have to connect today. So associations were important, whether it was Turfgrass Association, Landscape Association. I joined as I was getting more involved in irrigation, I joined the Carolinas Irrigation Association. And they had started in the 80s. Primarily, they had golf and networking events. And then as it progressed, obviously we have watched and are advocates for all the irrigation contractors in the Carolinas. And then, of course, in North Carolina, we do have to deal with the licensing laws and everything. So, we represent the industry there. And we try to have educational events. We've had, as well as, social events. And in the early 2000s, or about when I came on board, we never had a standalone event.
Yeah.
And so that's what Waterpalooza evolved out of the CIA's recognizing, hey, we need something for irrigation contractors, and we need something where they can learn and have irrigation specific classes. And then, of course, with the CEUs evolving, they obviously need to get CEUs. So that's how Waterpalooza evolved. It began, Alan Hales out of Charlotte. He was the president at that time. And I've been involved with Waterpalooza ever since that point. And I think my only qualifications were they decided they wanted it in Raleigh, and I lived in Raleigh at the time. And I was too naive to duck my head when they were looking for volunteers. So here we are. But now it's evolved over the years, and it's become quite a good event, and grown, and that's good. And thankfully, there's some people with more intellect and expertise guiding the ship than me, but.
Dude, you got to give yourself more credit than that. I've always looked up to you, man. You're super important and educated in this industry. So, I mean, you made it you were the president of Carolinas Irrigation Association, man.
Again, I didn't duck, So I will say this about the association and associations in general, and whether it's, a industry association, we're in the green industry, whether it's a civic organization or, church group organization, man, you get a lot of benefit from being involved.
You do.
You don't really know. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to, I don't want to get too involved. I don't want a leadership position or whatever, we're not paid and you can't get fired.
Yeah.
And so, and for me personally, again, kind of being in my own shell and my own box in small business, joining the Carolinas Irrigation Association and then meeting people at the events like Waterpalooza and ultimately being on the board and stuff, I met so many people and learned so much that I would not have if I was just standing on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Now, we have a connection here. If I moved to Asheville and needed a job, I know some people, some irrigation contractors there. If I've gotten to know distributors and manufacturers reps and just met some really good people. So, all that to say is if anybody wants to not only be involved with or join the Carolinas Irrigation Association, but if they want to be more involved, we're welcome to have you.
Yeah. Well, good deal. It's
Well, Eric, I have a question for you. So we've got a listener that sent in a really good question. He wants to know, where is a good place to get initial hands-on training for irrigation?
Okay, so a couple things. You do not need to be an irrigation expert or have worked in the field 15 to 20 years to benefit from coming to Waterpalooza. Those classes, we have classes that kind of address and, everything about irrigation. So I'd encourage that. If you're looking to learn about irrigation and then in North Carolina specifically, maybe ultimately prepare for the contractor's test, Irritech, which Kirk Thompson runs, that's a good source of classes. And I'll lead into this too. If you're actually looking to study for the irrigation contractor's test, Kirk with Irritech offers a class, a prep class for taking the exam. And if you're a member of the Carolinas Irrigation Association, there's a discounted rate on that. I would also say, a lot of the manufacturers, including Hunter, Toro, Rainbird, they have not only sometimes classes that go around the country and you can look at a schedule, but they have online classes as well, that you kind of starting at the basics. So stuff is out there. I hope that provided some answers to the questions there. I'll say for myself, when I started in the industry, I was doing maintenance and we did not have an irrigated property. And we thought, oh my gosh, if we could just, we're trying to grow fescue in Raleigh and it's July and you know what happens. And we thought, oh, if we just had an irrigated property, life would be easy. We'd have it made. Well, finally we inherited an irrigation property and it had all kinds of problems. So then now we had to learn how to fix it and repair it. And so I visited a lot of the distributors and, if you visit the distributors, I would not suggest going in there maybe between 8 and 9 in the morning when they're going through the morning circus and trying to get all the contractors out the door, but find times during the day and they'll be glad to help folks and guide you. I know several of them still offer kind of the basic irrigation courses. So that's a good source. And then again, online. Eric, I think some of the classes that you do, even, involving irrigation, you just kind of pick up bits and pieces, I think that's how most of us have done it.
Gotcha.
I hope that provides some answers.
It is a good point. And, I always forget about Kurt Thompson and, because I'm starting to see his advertisements on his social media pages that he does offer that pre-licensing course. And Kurt, I have the utmost respect for, super knowledgeable guy. And it's good, we'll get to see him at Waterpalooza and we see him at Kentucky. They've got a booth at Equip Expo. So, Corey, our listener there, I know Corey's headed up to Equip Expo. So Corey, Kurt will have a booth there if you wanted to go and talk to him about the pre-licensing course. And Eric, does the Irrigation Association, do they still offer like the CIC and CID exams and study programs?
So yes, the National Irrigation Association, yes, they do. So they still have that, and I believe Kurt also has classes
With them.
geared towards that. Of course, the IA has their show that is late November, first part of December, I think, this year, and it'll be in New Orleans. And so, of course, that's the National Irrigation Association, and they put on a big trade show.
Yeah.
That's another good place to go and learn. And I'll lead into this too. That's one of the things the Carolinas Irrigation Association has tried to do to help students and people that are interested in this field, the next generation. IA has something which they call the E3 Scholarship.
Yes.
And the E3 Scholarship will send students and instructors to the IA show for free. They pick up the tab. And what the CIA does, we contribute money to that fund along with Toro, so that we have a fund of monies to send the students. And so when we hold our golf tournaments, we have a golf tournament in April in Charlotte, and we do a golf tournament in August in Raleigh. And so we're trying to golf for a purpose, It's bad golf for a good purpose. So that's part of what the CIA does, because we know it's important that young people get exposed to this. And Eric, you probably know as a business owner, and I know, to have not only the time but the funds to go to some of these shows. And the IA was typically, most of the time their events are on the West Coast.
They are, yeah. Either Vegas or San Antonio has been, two major cities for that.
Yes, and so as a small business person starting out, I never had the funds to go to that event.
Yeah.
And as a student, I didn't have the wherewithal to know about it. So it is a great opportunity for students to get exposure and experience going to that. So I would encourage, I think the deadline may be close. They may have extended it, but people could go to the IA's website, Irrigation Association, to look at that. But the E3 Scholarship is another thing that the IA is doing for workforce development. And then, of course, the Carolinas Irrigation Association, that's a big part of what we try to do is help promote and inspire the next generation.
I'm wondering, where is here's the conference's 2025 irrigation show.
I think it's in New Orleans this year.
Okay, so getting a little closer to the East Coast.
Yeah, they try to switch it up, I think, year to year, either west of the Mississippi or east of the Mississippi.
Yeah, and it's December 10th and 11th. So that's always a bad time for us. Well, and like you said, Eric, as being a business owner, it's hard to get away, even if you are, if you did have a little extra or whatever funds, because we work, it seems like I work every single day, and it's hard to take off, but that is super busy for our Christmas light season. So.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, and I would say, you mentioned, you were going to Louisville. We did have an issue. As far as the Waterpalooza, we try to not have it overlap that event. I think last year the issue was McKimmon Center wasn't available.
Yeah.
So we were stuck with doing something else, but we try to not overlap that event so that people can come, both attendees and vendors can come to our event as well. Yeah, because everybody's got a busy schedule.
Yep. It's crazy how hectic everything can get, but that is awesome. So, And more about that E3 scholarship. Now, is that open to anybody that's in a horticulture degree, or does it have to be specific an irrigation degree? Because I know there's not really, many irrigation classes, because I teach at the community college level. There is a class, landscape irrigation. I think there's a landscape irrigation 2 class. But is this E3 scholarship available to any horticulture or turfgrass program, or does it have to specifically be involved with irrigation?
It is available to any student who is in a horticulture or turfgrass program. What they look for is at least one class
of irrigation
that you have taken, or you're signed up for one class specific to irrigation, because we realize there's not a lot of schools, 2-year, 4-year, associate, whatever, even certificate, that are irrigation only.
Yeah.
And, of course, we like to see, we're promoting, the community college and growth of, the programs, whether it's 2-year or 4-year or whatever. We know that, in the 90s, there was a lot of people in those programs, and then there was some decline, and you saw some universities even kind of shut down their programs, and we don't want to see that. So, yes, if you're a student and you're in the turf grass or the golf, or you're doing nursery production, and but part of your curriculum has at least one class where you're touching on irrigation, that qualifies.
Yeah.
And there's an application process. You fill out the application, and it asks, varying questions, including kind of your classes, and you can just list that. And we have a range of people, from people that are at local community college to people that are, getting their PhD in water science and traveling the world. And but they like to have a mix. And
yeah,
I'm happy to say that North Carolina has had a really good showing of applicants that have won the scholarship over the past years. We've had people from Sand Hills, and we've had people from Piedmont, and we've had people from Alamance. And so, yeah, if you're a student, don't be discouraged. Fill out the application, send it in.
Yeah.
And you do not have to be irrigation only, curriculum.
Yeah. And it is a shame that, you would think, as technical as irrigation is, that there's not like an associate's degree in landscape irrigation, or, even agricultural irrigation. They just don't exist. And, what I find with my students coming into the classrooms is they don't even know that irrigation is a career field. They had never heard of that.
Yeah.
And so we always introduce them to it. And with our students, we're a horticulture, program. So we have a lot of nursery, greenhouse production, greenhouse operations. So they do learn irrigation, in the greenhouse setting. But as far as actually getting out on a commercial or residential install job, we just don't have that. Our curriculum doesn't really allow for that, because we're considered what we call a growing program, where we're growing trees and shrubs and more along that horticultural science versus, turf grass that's, at Guilford Tech next door to us, the county over. That those turf grass programs would probably get more irrigation classes than an actual horticulture. But I haven't really seen many. My daughter's at NC State. She's in the ag program. She's studying animal science and poultry science now, but she's seriously considering switching over to plant and soil science. And she'll take a few classes that are horticulture related if she does change majors. But we're not seeing really many irrigation classes at any of these colleges or universities, and it's a sad situation, because irrigation is big, and there is a lot of science and knowledge that needs to go behind it. And of course, I've always felt that there are some really good irrigators that may not know their plant material, and then there's some really good plant people that don't know how to irrigate. So we need to kind of blend that somehow or another, and introduce these people, or to actually have some people cross-trained in it. So
Well,
I don't.
I agree. I'm sure you experienced this, but there's nothing more frustrating when you're the landscape contractor, and you're going to plant the, you know, 12-foot Nellie Stevens or the 2.5-inch willow oak, and you dig the hole and you found out that the irrigation contractor ran the pipe, right along the line where you're supposed to set the trees,
Yeah.
5 feet off the building.
Yeah.
And you're like, why couldn't we work together?
Yeah. Exactly.
Um, and I remember the days when you would do a new project and you actually printed off the plans, and they'd have a electrical schematic and a plumbing schematic and a building schematic and a landscape plan. And then when you got to irrigation, it just said, little line said, contractor's preference or C contractor, and there was nothing.
Yeah.
And a lot of after the fact, so it is good to kind of pre-plan, and they do go together. I mean, I did maintenance and I did install, and unless we're doing it wrong, we're not really trying to irrigate parking lots. We're trying to irrigate grass and plants and stuff like that. So, they full circle, they all come, all need to work together for sure.
Well, and I've even seen landscape plans done by a landscape architect that'll say irrigation designed to be submitted to the architect for approval. And it's like, they're not even doing irrigation plans. And that, I don't know, that just kind of shocked me a little bit. And I know, maybe they don't touch base on it in their programs. And it may be just easier to let the irrigation contractor do that. But when it comes to that, you would think a landscape architect would want to be in full control. If they're designing the landscape, that they would want to design the irrigation system so that they know that their plant materials are going to be taken care of. So, I've seen several plans like that here recently, that they're turning that over to the irrigation contractor.
Yeah, and a lot of times we come in too late to the process where maybe we weren't at the beginning of the build, and the meters or the pipe, the supply side, source is the wrong size.
Yeah.
And then now it's after the fact, and now you're kind of having to design something that will almost work, versus what would work ideally. But yeah, there's not for irrigation, unlike electrical or plumbing, there's not really a uniform code throughout the U.S. or even, so that's kind of what we've done with the licensing law in North Carolina, is try to make some uniformity. One thing I will point out, a lot of people ask us at Waterpalooza and other events, the Carolinas Irrigation Association, we did not make the law. We are not the irrigation contractors licensing law people.
Yeah.
A lot of folks come up to us and say, well, why did you make this law and why did you do that? We did not do that. What we're an association, so we're, for the contractor. We definitely watch what is the legislation, and we try to, put our input so that it can be contractor friendly as well as to the benefit of the public. But we're not the ones making the rules. That's the licensing board.
Yeah.
And again, if you have questions with the licensing board, they always come to Waterpalooza too.
That's true. Yeah.
We always will have both the irrigation licensing board and the landscape licensing board there with their booth to answer any questions that people may have.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, Eric, I got one last question I'd like, and Jennifer wants to be a part of this too. How can Turfs Up Radio be a part of the Carolinas Irrigation Association? How can we get more involved with Waterpalooza?
Well, first off, I appreciate you having me here. I mean, this is great that we get to speak about the event in Waterpalooza today. Marcy Cottle is our executive director, and I'm going to have her reach out to y'all.
Okay.
Because I think it would be great. I mean, if you could bring your show on the road and possibly broadcast at Waterpalooza, that would be awesome.
Okay. Yes.
But I'll have Marcy reach out to you, because we would like, definitely like that. I think it'd be a great way to expose what we're doing to a larger audience, build some excitement about it. And, there's going to be lots of folks from the irrigation industry, all facets of it,
Yeah.
at that event, both in North Carolina, like we mentioned with Dr. Sneed and Kirk Thompson, and even on a national level with like Kevin Battistoni. So if we could get y'all there and maybe promote that, that would be great. We have other events during the year. We also do a day's worth of classes at the Green and Growing Show.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And I mean, I know I see you there. I see you, Eric. I don't know if you're there in a Turfs Up radio capacity or not, but
well, this year we got a booth, both locations, both the educational and at the trade show at the Coliseum. So we are just working out the details with the North Carolina Nursery Association, Nursery and Landscape Association. We're working with Katie there, and they are super excited. But we'll be broadcasting live there from the educational events, interviewing people. We will be broadcasting some of the speakers that they want us to broadcast, and so we're gonna have a lot of fun with this. And the Nursery Association is just super excited. And then we're actually going to be in the booth with the North Carolina Nursery Association at the trade show. So we're going to have the station set up there where people, where Katie and her staff can actually grab people and have us interview, because they've got a certain list that they want to get some of their members and attendees to get them on air. So we're working up the details, and we'll probably have that finished up this week, because it's right around the corner too, man. Like, I mean, it'll be
That's
January
right.
before you know it. So,
Well, that's right. I mean, and people may not know, but to get your classes, I know to get your classes approved with CEUs, if you're going to have a class in January, you have to be thinking about it in August and
yeah,
submit it in September and October so you can get it out there. So
yeah,
a lot of pre-planning. Well,
yeah,
maybe we could have, we mentioned like the Ronald Sneed Award. Maybe we could have Turfs Up Radio, interview this year's winner or
yeah,
something like that.
dude, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. So,
Interview somebody more important than me, more interesting.
don't knock yourself, Eric. You can't do that, man. You, like I said, you're, to me, you're a leader in the irrigation industry. So I've always looked up to you. Ever since I met you, because the first time I did meet you, you were the president of CIA. So I have a lot of respect for you, and appreciate what you do for the industry, man, because you give a lot of time and you give a lot of energy to the association, and it takes people like you, man, to make those things work. Because like you said, you can't get fired and you're not getting paid. And you just gotta, you do it because you love it and you want to give back to an industry that's been good to you. And that's why we do Turfs Up Radio. It feels like we are giving back, to an industry that provided income for my parents and now provides income for us. And so, we do this because we love it, and we want to give back. So
I agree, and you do get things out of it that it's not always monetary, but the relationships and that you build, and the people that you get to know, and the connections. So so I've gotten a lot out. I put a lot into it, but I've gotten a lot out of it,
yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
But yeah, lastly, I'd say we'd love for everybody to come to Waterpalooza. Look forward to seeing you and Jennifer there. Again, it's October 16th in Raleigh at the McKimmon Center. If anybody that wants to be involved, whether it's registration as an attendee, we're also doing student sponsorships. So
Yeah.
if a student wants to come, we're going to pick up the tab on that.
Okay.
And Marcy Cottle, she's our managing director, and I'll have her get in touch with you. But also, if anybody has any questions that are not answered on the website or whatever, you're welcome to call me. But reach out to me. But Marcy, definitely, she knows everything about everything that's going on with it, and whether sponsorship opportunities, participation, whether you're a vendor or whatever. All those things. And I'll have her reach out with you directly so we could
Okay.
See if we can get Turfs Up Radio out there.
Yeah. I mean, that's if she reaches out to us this week, we can definitely get something in the works. And we're just an hour and a half away. We're in Raleigh all the time because of summer being there. So yeah, man, just let us know. Have her reach out. Maybe we can do a conference call like this. The four of us, Jennifer and I, and you, and your colleague there, and let's set something up.
That sounds awesome.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for being here on the show this morning, man. It's been fun. It's been very educational, and I'm looking forward to Waterpalooza. So.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me. Nice to meet you, Jennifer, and look forward to seeing you both up in Raleigh.
All right.
You too, Eric. I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I got to get out and do my day job now.
All right, E. Thanks, man. We'll see you here in a couple weeks.
Sounds good. Have a great day.
You too.